Hello students, welcome to Time Classes. Today's session will be on geometry. In geometry, we are going to learn a lot of theorems and properties related to different plane figures like triangles, circles, polygons, quadrilaterals. We'll also look at the properties related to angles and straight lines, and in particular properties related to parallel lines. Now in geometry, we will be learning a lot of theorems and properties, but you should not be scared about these theorems and properties, because unlike school exams where they used to ask the proof of theorems and properties, in the entrance test that you will be writing, they will never ask you the proof of any theorem or any property. So what we have to do in geometry classes is this: we will go through all the theorems and properties, and most of these theorems and properties will be same as what you have learned in school. So we'll revisit all those theorems and properties, and we will focus more on how to apply those theorems and properties while solving the problems. Okay, I hope you are all set for this class and have the required handout, which is QAT 3541507. Okay, so let's begin with the session. To start with lines and angles, and even before starting with any properties, let us first recall a few very basic properties that all of us will surely remember. For example, if I ask you what is the sum of all the angles in a triangle, the answer is 180 degree, isn't it? Suppose I ask you what is the area of a triangle, the most commonly used formula for area of the triangle is half into base into height. Right? Okay. What about square? What are the properties related to square? So even if you don't remember all the properties, I am sure you will remember that in a square all the sides are equal and each angle is 90 degree. Okay. So these are very basic things which you definitely remember. We are going to learn all these things also. We'll revise all these things also. But just to give you a few basic things about geometry is this, that you will surely remember a few things. For example, you would remember what is Pythagoras theorem, isn't it? Okay, so let us start our discussion with first angles and lines. Let us look at some properties related to angles and lines. This also I am sure you remember. When we go through these properties, it will be very easy for you to recall these properties that you have already studied in school. Okay, so let's see. An angle of 90 degrees is called a right angle, isn't it? An angle of 90 degrees is called a right angle. An angle of less than 90 degrees is called acute angle. Okay. An angle between 90 degree and 180 degrees is called an obtuse angle. An angle between 180 degree and 360 degree is known as a reflex angle. Okay. So 90 degree right angle, less than 90 is acute, greater than 90 and less than 180 is obtuse, and greater than 180 less than 360 is reflex. And if it is 360 degree, it is known as complete angle. Okay. Two angles whose sum is 90 degree are said to be complementary angles, and two angles whose sum is 180 degree are said to be supplementary angles. So complementary angles are those angles whose sum is 90, supplementary angles are those angles whose sum is 180 degree. So if I ask you what is the complement of 60 degree, the answer will be 30 degree, because 90 minus 60 is 30. Similarly, what is the supplement of 100 degrees? The answer is 80 degrees, because 180 minus 100 is 80 degrees. Fine. Okay. Here we have, this is a straight line. Okay. This is a straight line. And here we have, this black line is a straight line. And here we have 5 angles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sum of all these 5 angles will be 180 degree. So the property is known as angles on a straight line will always add up to 180 degree. Okay. So if there are, suppose, this straight line and we have only 2 angles like this and this. Here also the sum of these 2 angles will be 180 degree, and in this case these 2 angles are known as linear pair. Okay. Fine. Similarly, sum of all the angles around a point. So consider this point, and these are all the angles around that point. So angle around a point will always add up to be 360 degree, isn't it? Angle around a point is 360 degree. Fine. I hope all these properties are clear. Let's quickly look at an example related to complementary and supplementary angles. So let's say this is a question as an example. The complementary and supplementary angles of an angle are in the ratio 2:5. Find the measure of that angle. Okay. So let us say the required angle is x. So what will be the complementary angle of x? The complementary of angle x will be 90 minus x, and supplementary angle of x will be 180 minus x, right? And what is the relation between this and this? It is given in the equation that they are in the ratio 2:5. So this is to this is 2:5, because this 2:5 is given in the equation. So if you solve this, this will become a linear equation. It will become 90 minus x by 180 minus x is equal to 2 by 5. And then you can cross multiply and solve this linear equation to get the value of x. So when you do that, you will get x is equal to 30 degrees. Okay. So what is the measure of that angle? That angle is 30 degrees. Okay. I hope this problem is clear. It's very simple, isn't it? Okay, let's move on to this property. This property is about vertically opposite angles. So it says whenever two straight lines intersect, so AC and BD are straight lines, they intersect at this point O. So whenever two straight lines intersect, then vertically opposite angles are equal, which means this angle will be equal to this angle, and this angle will be equal to this angle. So this will happen whenever two straight lines will intersect. Vertically opposite angles will be equal. Let's look at parallel lines. So here PQ and RS are parallel lines. Okay, and this line XY is known as a transversal. So whenever a line cuts two or more parallel lines, then it is known as transversal. So here the line XY is transversal, and PQ and RS are parallel lines, which we can denote by arrows. Okay. Now let's say what are the properties here. Whenever we have two parallel lines and a transversal cutting them, then alternate angles are equal. Okay. Which are the alternate angles here? This angle will be equal to this angle. So these are alternate angles. Okay. And similarly, this angle will be equal to this angle. These are also alternate angles. So this and this, they are equal, and this they are also equal. So these are alternate angles. Okay. Then corresponding angles are also equal. Which are the corresponding angles? Corresponding angles are these angles. This angle will be equal to this angle. This angle will be equal to this angle. This angle will be equal to this angle. And this angle will be equal to this angle. These are four pairs of corresponding angles. Okay. These are four pairs of corresponding angles. Then sum of the interior angles on the same side of the transversal is equal to 180 degree. It means this angle, this plus this is 180 degree. So these two angles lie on the same side of the transversal between the parallel lines. These are supplementary. Similarly, this angle and this angle, these two are also supplementary. Okay. Sum of the exterior angles on the same side of the transversal is equal to 180 degree. Sum of the exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. So which means this is the exterior angle, double tick and double tick. These two are exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. So the sum of these two will be 180 degree. Similarly, this angle and this angle, these two are also on the same side of the transversal, and these are external angles. So these are external angles on the same side of the transversal. So these two are also supplementary, which means sum of these two angles is also 180 degree. Okay. I hope the property is clear. Now let me look at some other color. Let me take another color and let's look at this one, this one and this one. So all the angles which I have just marked in the color green, they are all equal to each other. If you look carefully at all these angles, you will see these all are equal to each other. Okay, so all the green angles that you see, they are all equal to each other, and all the red angles that you see, they are all equal to each other. Okay, fine. Let's move on to a question. So this is question number 1 on your sheet. This is question number 1 on your sheet. Let's try that question. So it gives you, we have to find this angle ABC. So which is this angle? B is parallel to DF. So this line is parallel to this line. Okay, fine. So they have given you some angle. This angle is 70 degree and this angle is 20 degree. So angle DCE, DCE means this angle. This angle will be equal to 180 minus 70, which is 110. Why? Because these two are parallel lines and this is a transversal. So the sum of these two interior angles must be 180 degree, because these two are supplementary angles. So angle here is 70, then this must be 110. Okay. Now if that is 110, then this is also 110. This is also 110. Why? Because we have vertically opposite angles. Here we have two straight lines intersecting each other. So these two are vertically opposite angles. So if this is 110, this is also 110. Now here you have a triangle ABC, right? Here we have a small triangle ABC, and in a triangle the sum of all the three angles is always 180 degree, and I already know two angles, 20 degree and 110 degrees. So I can easily find what is the third angle. So that must be 180 minus these two angles which we already know. So one of them is 20 degrees and one of them is 110 degrees. So if you do that, we'll get 180 minus 20 plus 110, which is 50 degrees. So this is my answer. So angle ABC is nothing but 50 degrees. Okay, I hope this problem is clear. Now let us move ahead. Look at properties related to triangles. Sum of all the three angles of a triangle is 180 degree. So this is very easy property, we all remember. What else? Sum of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the third side. Sum of any two sides in a triangle is greater than the third side, and hence the difference of any two sides is always less than the third side. So these two properties complement each other. So if sum of any two sides is greater than the third side, then it will imply that the difference of any two sides is less than the third side. If this property is not true, you will not be able to make a closed figure using three sides. So you will not get a triangle. This is a very essential property. Sum of any two sides must be greater than the third side, and difference of any two sides must be less than the third side. Okay. What else? This entire story only tells you that whichever is the longest side, the angle opposite to that longest side will be the biggest angle, and also vice versa. So we can say this: the side opposite to the biggest angle is the longest. Okay, and vice versa. Similarly, we can say the side which is opposite to the smallest angle is the shortest. Okay, the side which is opposite to the smallest angle is the shortest, and also vice versa. Fine. So this entire paragraph exactly tells you the same thing that I have just told you. Fine. Then property related to exterior angle. So suppose we have this triangle, and x and y are, these two are known as interior angles, and whenever you extend a side, then the angle formed outside is known as exterior angle. So this angle Z is an exterior angle, and the property says that in triangle any exterior angle will be always equal to the sum of interior opposite angle. So in this case, this angle Z will be equal to, if this is the exterior angle you are looking at, then the interior opposite angles will be x and y. So this must be equal to x plus y. Any exterior angle is equal to sum of interior opposite angles. Okay, fine. Let's look at a question based on the property that we have just discussed. So there is a triangle which has 3 sides and the length of the sides are given as 5, 14 and x centimeters. X is an integer. How many values can x take? First thing, x is an integer and it is also the length of the side of a triangle. So it has to be some positive integer. It cannot be a negative integer. Length of a side cannot be negative. So x is an integer. In this question it implies x must be a positive integer because it is the length of a side. Fine. Sum of any 2 sides we know is greater than the third side, isn't it? So can I say sum of these 2 sides 14 and 5 must be greater than the third side x, right? Sum of 14 and 5 must be greater than x. Sum of any 2 sides is greater than the third side, and also the difference of any 2 sides is less than the third side. So can I say difference of 14 and 5 must be less than the third side, which is x. So can I say we get a range for x, x must be less than 14 plus 5 but greater than 14 minus 5. So when you simplify this, you will get x is greater than 9 but less than 19, and this means between 9 and 19 all the integers must be counted. So x can take 9 integral values. So the value of x can be between 9 and 19 means 10, 11, 12 and so on till 18, but not 19. It will go only till 18. So if you count all the integers from 10 to 18, these are 9 integers. Fine, let us look at the types of triangles. So we have equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle is a triangle in which all the sides are equal as well as all the angles are also equal. And since all the angles are equal, then each angle must be equal to 60 degree. Okay. And what is an isosceles triangle? Isosceles triangle is a triangle in which 2 sides are equal and the angles opposite to the equal sides, they are also equal. So for example, suppose if we have this triangle and it is isosceles, and let us say these 2 sides are equal. So that means these 2 angles will be equal. So the angles opposite to equal sides, they are equal. And we can say vice versa also. We can say the sides which are opposite to the equal angles, they are equal. So we have 2 sides equal and 2 opposite angles equal. Okay. In an isosceles triangle, the unequal side is known as the base. So this is the unequal side, this is known as the base. Okay. What is a scalene triangle? A scalene triangle is a triangle in which no 2 sides are equal and no 2 angles are equal. Okay. And what is an acute angle triangle? An acute angle triangle is a triangle in which all the angles are acute. Okay. So what will happen in an obtuse angle triangle? All the angles cannot be obtuse, only one angle is obtuse. So in an obtuse angle triangle, only one angle is obtuse. Okay. And the angle which is obtuse, that must be the largest angle, and therefore the side opposite to this angle, this obtuse angle, will be the longest. Okay. Then we have right angle triangle. Right angle triangle is a triangle in which one angle is 90 degree. Only one angle can be 90 degree. The other 2 angles will be less than 90 degree. So any triangle having one angle as right angle or one angle as 90 degree is known as a right angle triangle. Now in this case also 90 degree will be the largest angle and the side opposite to this angle must be the longest, and in case of right angle triangle the longest side is known as hypotenuse. Okay. Fine. So there are 2 classification of triangles. One is based on sides, another one is based on angles. So based on sides you have equilateral triangle, isosceles triangle, scalene triangle, and based on angles we have acute angle triangle, obtuse angle triangle and right angle triangle. Okay. Fine. Let's look at a question as an example. This is question number 30 on your sheet. So this gives you the data about this figure. In the above figure, BC is the base of the isosceles triangle. If BC is the base, it means AB and AC, these are equal. Okay. And angle BAD is equal to thrice of angle DAC. BAD is this angle is thrice of this angle. Okay. Which of the following is not a possible value of angle CAD? Suppose this angle CAD is, let us say this is x. So according to question, this must be 3x. Okay. Because the relationship is given here. Angle BAD is thrice of angle DAC. So if DAC is x, then BAD must be 3x. And the question is asking about CAD. Now if you look in the figure, CAD is nothing but x only. Okay, CAD is same as DAC. Angle CAD is same as DAC. Okay, so since this is the relationship was given, can I say angle DAC, or we can say angle CAD? It means the same. It will be 1/4 of angle CAB, isn't it? So this angle x, can I say it will be, x will be equal to 1/4 of this entire angle. This entire angle is what? 4x, right? 3x plus x, 4x. So 4 will cancel out. So this angle x is 1/4 of this total angle, which is 4x. That is what is written here. Okay. So then, can we say this angle BAC will lie between 0 degree and 180 degree? Isn't it? This angle will lie between 0 degree and 180 degree for sure. Because any angle in triangle, we have a triangle ABC, in any angle in a triangle must be less than 180 degree. Okay. If that is the case, so can I say angle BAC? Okay. Angle BAC lies between 0 degree and 180 degree. So can I say 1/4 of, I'll multiply this throughout by 1/4. So can I say 1/4 of this angle will lie between 0 degree, because 0 divided by 4 is 0 and 180 divided by 4 is 45. So angle BAC, 1/4 of angle BAC will lie between 0 degree and 45 degree. 1/4 of angle BAC is nothing but angle CAD only. Okay. So we can see angle CAD will lie between 0 degree and 45 degree. Okay. This is nothing but angle CAD from here. You can check. Because that was equal to 1/4 of angle CAB. CAB is same as BAC. So therefore, this angle is nothing but angle CAD only, 1/4 of angle BAC. So angle CAD has to lie between 0 degree and 45 degree. So it cannot be 45 degree. So this is my correct answer. This is not a possible value of angle CAD. We cannot have angle CAD as 45 degree. Okay. It has to be less than 45 degree. Fine. Okay. Let's look at next question. Here we have an equilateral triangle TPS and it is drawn inside PQRS, which is a square. So PQRS is a square. Inside that we have to draw an equilateral triangle TPS. And then we have to find angle QTR. Okay. Then we have to find angle QTR. Let's draw the figure first. This is how the figure will look like. Okay. Triangle PTS is an equilateral triangle and PQRS is a square. So angle QPS is 90 degree, right? This must be 90 degree because this is a square, so each angle is 90 degree. And angle TPS is 60 degree. This angle is 60 degree because it's an equilateral triangle. Okay, TPS is an equilateral triangle, so this is 60 degree. Similarly, this is also 60 degree. And this entire angle is also 60 degree because it is an equilateral triangle. This complete angle is 90 and this is 60, so therefore this must be 30 degree. Okay. So next step is that only. QPT is 30 degree. Then this side must be equal to this side. Why is that so? Because suppose side of the square is A. So this is also A, this is also A, this is also A, and this is also A. And triangle TPS is equilateral, where one side is PS. If that is A, then this side is also A and this side is also A. So now you see this is A and this is also A. So these two sides are equal. So in this triangle, these two sides are equal, so it's an isosceles triangle. If this angle is 30 degree, then we can easily find this angle as well as this angle. Okay. So these two angles must be equal. This angle and this angle, they must be equal because it is an isosceles triangle. And the value of that angle will be what? 75 degree. How did we get that? 180 minus 30. That will give you sum of this angle and this angle, and divide that by 2. So that will give you 75 degrees. So this angle is going to be 75 degrees. In exact similar way, we can show that these two sides are also equal and this is 30 degree. So by our sense of symmetry, we will say in a similar manner, this angle is also 75 degrees. Okay. So similarly, angle STR is also 75 degrees. And if you consider this point, then around this point, the sum of all the angles must be 360 degree. Out of which we already know this angle, we already know this angle, and we already know this angle. So from 1, 2 and 3, angle QTR, this must be 150 degree. This is what the question was asking for. This must be 150 degree because angle around this point is going to be 360 degree. In that 360 degree, we will subtract 75, this, minus 60 and minus 75. 360 minus 75 minus 60 minus 75. If you do that, you will get 150 degrees. Okay. I hope this question is clear to you. Fine. Let us move ahead. Let's look at right angle triangle and its properties. So in a right angle triangle, there is a theorem known as Pythagoras theorem, which follows. So what is a Pythagoras theorem? So suppose this is a right angle triangle where angle B is 90 degree. So this side will be the longest side and it is known as hypotenuse. Okay. So Pythagoras theorem says that AC square is nothing but hypotenuse. So square of AC will be equal to sum of squares of AB and BC. Okay. So we can say AC square is the longest side. AC square is the square of the longest side. That is equal to AB square plus BC square. So in a right angle triangle, the longest side, which is known as the hypotenuse, it will be always opposite to the angle 90 degree. So square of the longest side is equal to sum of squares of the other two sides. Okay. So this is known as Pythagoras theorem. The converse of Pythagoras theorem is also true. It means if you see that in any triangle there are three sides and the longest side and the square of the longest side is coming out to be equal to the sum of squares of the other two sides, then that triangle must be a right angle triangle. So if it is a right angle triangle, Pythagoras theorem will be satisfied. In any triangle, if the sides satisfy Pythagoras theorem, which is basically this, then the triangle must be a right angle triangle. Okay. Now let us look at what are Pythagorean triplets. Okay. Let's look at what are Pythagorean triplets. So a group of three numbers which satisfy Pythagoras theorem, that is known as a Pythagorean triplet. So for example, if you look at these three numbers, the biggest number is 5. So square of 5 is 25 and square of 3 plus square of 4 is 9 plus 16, that is also 25. So longest side ka square is equal to sum of squares of the other two sides. So these three numbers satisfy Pythagoras theorem. So these are known as Pythagorean triplets. So this is one such triplet. Then we have another triplet 5, 12, 13. Then we have another triplet 8, 15, 17, then we have another triplet 7, 24, 25 and so on. There are so many Pythagorean triplets. We don't have to remember all of them, but if we remember the ones which are written on this slide, it will help you in solving the questions a little faster. You don't have to calculate the sides. We can remember these and we can get the sides very quickly. Now see, if 3, 4, 5 are Pythagorean triplets, then if you multiply all of them by 2, I'll get 6, 8, 10. That is also a Pythagorean triplet. If I multiply all of them by 3, I'll get 9, 12, 15. That is also a Pythagorean triplet. If I multiply all of them by 4, I'll get 12, 16, 20. That is also a Pythagorean triplet, and so on. We can generate a lot of Pythagorean triplets here. Similarly, 5, 12, 13. Multiply all of them by 2. I get 10, 12, 24, 26. That is also a Pythagorean triplet. Multiply all of them by 3. I get 15, 36, 39. That is also a Pythagorean triplet. And so on. Again, we can generate a lot of them here. Similarly, here we can generate a lot of Pythagorean triplets. Here also we can generate a lot of Pythagorean triplets. But we don't have to remember all of them. Just remember the ones mentioned on this slide and it will be more than enough. Okay. Let's look at a question based on Pythagoras theorem. So in a triangle ABC, what is the distance between the midpoint of BC and the foot of the perpendicular from A to BC if the length of the sides BC, CA and AB are 5, 7 and 6 centimeter respectively? Okay. So let us first draw a diagram. So let's draw a triangle ABC. AB is 6, AC is 7, and this point, this is the foot of, this is D, this is the foot of the perpendicular drawn from A on BC. So AD is perpendicular to BC. Okay. So effectively we get two right angle triangles. These two are right angle triangles, and BC is entire 5. So what will D do is, let us say BD is equal to X. So let us say this is X. So here it will be 5 minus X. DC will be 5 minus X. Now apply Pythagoras theorem in this triangle as well as this triangle. So what do I get? 6 square minus X square. So this is nothing but AD square. Okay. In this triangle, AD square will be 6 square minus X square using Pythagoras theorem. And in this triangle similarly, AD square will be equal to 7 square minus CD square. 7 square minus CD square. Again using Pythagoras theorem in this triangle. Okay. Now both sides we have done what? We have calculated the value of AD square only. So we can equate both of these. Right. So we can equate AD square with AD square. So this will be an equation which we have to solve. This will give me an equation which we have to solve to get the value of X. If I solve this, so in the next step I am going to get this. So X square and X square will cancel out. Okay. So we'll be left with 10x equal to 12 and therefore X is equal to 1.2. What is X? X was nothing but BD. So this is 1.2. Okay. Now let us say the midpoint of BC is, let's say E. Okay. Let us say midpoint of BC is E. It is somewhere here. So this BE is 2.5. Why 2.5? Because E is the midpoint of BC and length of BC is 5. So BE must be 2.5, and we have just now calculated the value of X. The value of X is 1.2. So can I say the length of BD is 1.2 and length of BE is 2.5. So what will be the length of DE? That is what we have to find in the question. So length of DE will be 2.5 minus 1.2, which is 1.3. That is what the question was asking for. Okay. The question was asking for what is the distance between the midpoint of BC, so which is E in this case, and the foot of the perpendicular, which is D in this case. So we had to find the distance between D and E, which is DE. So this is my answer. Okay. I hope this is clear. Let's move on to the next property in case of right angle triangle. Let us look at two special cases. Okay. Let's look at two special cases. So these are two special cases of right angle triangle. One of this is a triangle in which we have 45 degree, 45 degree and 90 degree. Okay. Now these are just two special cases. Any angle having one angle 90 degree will be a right angled triangle. Out of them, these are two special cases. So this case is also known as isosceles right angled triangle. Isosceles right angled triangle. Okay, because these two angles are equal, then definitely these two sides will be equal. So if this side is x, so this side will also be x, and using Pythagoras theorem I can get this side, which will be root 2x. So we can say the ratio of the sides will be 1:1 root 2. Okay. Now this one part will be opposite 45 degree angle. This one part will correspond to the side opposite 45 degree. This root 2 will correspond to the side opposite 90 degree. Next one is 30, 60, 90 triangle. So let us say the side opposite 30 degree is x, then the side opposite 60 degree will be root 3x. So root 3x will get by use of trigonometry. So at this stage you don't have to bother about how did we get root 3. Just remember this, if this is x, then this will be root 3x, and then we can calculate this will be 2x. In case of 30, 60, 90, if the side opposite 30 degree is x, then the side opposite 60 degree will be root 3x, and the side opposite 90 degree will be 2x. Fine. So the ratio of sides will be 1:root 3:2. In this case you should remember this 1 is the side corresponding to opposite 30 degree. Root 3 is the side, root 3 will correspond to the side opposite 60 degree angle, and this will correspond to the side opposite 90 degree angle. Okay. Let's look at a question based on this. So in a triangle PQR, angle PRQ is equal to 60 degree. S is a point on PR and QS is perpendicular to, this is QS. QS is perpendicular bisector of PR. If PR is equal to 10 centimeters, find the area of triangle PQR. Okay. So let's draw the figure first. So this is how the figure will look like. QS is perpendicular bisector of PR. Perpendicular bisector is a line which is perpendicular on a given side and also passing to the midpoint. So therefore this point will be the midpoint of PR, and since PR was given as 10, so PS will be 5 and SR will also be 5. So S is the midpoint of PR, and simultaneously QS is perpendicular to PR. That is the meaning of QS is perpendicular bisector of PR. And this angle is 60 degree, that is already given in the question. Okay, that was already given in the question. So these two sides are 5 centimeters that we have already discussed. Now angle SQR, so this angle is 90 degree already because it is perpendicular bisector. So this was 90 degree, this was already 60 degree, so this must be 30 degree. So we got a triangle which is 30, 60, 90 triangle. And the side which is opposite, so ratio of sides are 1:root 3:2. Now this is opposite 30 degree, in this case it is 5. So if this is 5, then this must be 5√3, and this is something which is opposite 60 degree. So the side opposite 60 degree will be 5√3. Okay. So we have already discussed till here. 5√3. Fine. Now for finding the area of this triangle PQR, I can use the formula half into base into height. So area of triangle PQR is half into base. So take this as base. If you take this as base, then this will be the height. So when PR is the base, QS will be the height. So half into base into height. When you calculate that, you will get 25√3. Okay. So answer is 25√3. Fine. Alright. Now we will move on to the next segment, in which we will be discussing what are geometric centers in a triangle. There are 4 geometric centers in a triangle. They are known as centroid, incenter, circumcenter and orthocenter. So we'll look at them one by one. Let us first look at what is a median. So median is a line which joins the midpoint of a side with the opposite vertex. So for example, if you look at this triangle is ABC, AD is a line which joins midpoint of BC with the opposite vertex. So median is any line which joins the midpoint of a side to the opposite vertex in a triangle. So in this case, AD is a median. Okay. If you draw one median in a triangle, it will divide the triangle into two equal parts in terms of area. So these two triangles will have same areas. Okay. Okay. So in any triangle, there is a property related to medians. It is known as Apollonius theorem. It is known as Apollonius theorem. So if you look at this figure, AD is the median, and this median AD lies between the sides AB and AC. It lies between the sides AB and AC. Okay. So the theorem says that twice of, let's look at from the other way around. So AB square plus AC square, these two are the sides. AB and AC are the sides between which the median lies. So AB square plus AC square will be equal to twice of the median AD square plus BD square. BD is nothing but half of BC. So in place of BD here, you can also write half of BC whole square. You can also use half of BC whole square. Okay. Now let us draw all the three medians. So AD is one median, B is another median, and CF is another median. So whatever relation that you have here will get the same relation for the median BE also and CF also. So this type of equation we can form three times because we have three medians. If you write all the three equations related to the three medians and then add them and rearrange the terms, finally you will get this. So you get 3 times AB square plus BC square plus CA square will be equal to 4 times AD square plus B square plus CF square, which is basically nothing but, if you look at the left side, AB square plus BC square plus AC square is sum of squares of the sides, and here you have AD square plus BE square plus CF square is sum of squares of the medians. So in any triangle, 3 times the sum of square of sides will always be equal to 4 times the sum of square of medians. Okay. So this property comes from Apollonius theorem. The three medians of a triangle meet at a point known as centroid. So this is a common meeting point. This point is known as centroid. So centroid is the meeting point of all the three medians. You can denote it by G. The property of centroid divides each median in the ratio 2:1, and the part of the median which is towards the vertex will be greater. So if AD is the median and G is the centroid, then this will be 2:1. Similarly, in case of BE median, the ratio will be 2:1 like this, and the ratio 2:1 will be like this. Now remember, these are ratios, not the exact values. So AG is to GD will be 2:1. Similarly, BG is to GE will be 2:1. Similarly, CG is to GF will be 2:1. Okay. And also one more property, if you look at all the 6 triangles, small triangles that has been formed here, when you draw all the 3 medians, we will get 6 triangles. All these 6 triangles will have equal areas. So all the 3 medians, if you draw them together, then we will have 6 triangles of equal areas. Let's look at a question based on this. What is the sum of squares of the sides of a triangle ABC if sum of squares of the medians is 36? Now this is a very straightforward question. We have just now seen this relationship, and we will use this relationship and get our answer. So use that relationship. So in any triangle, 3 times the sum of squares of sides is equal to 4 times the sum of square of medians, and therefore required sum, whatever they are asking, will be 4 by 3 into 36, which is 48 centimeters square. Okay, I hope this is clear. This is a very straightforward question based on the rule that we have just now studied in the previous slide. Fine, let's move ahead. So centroid is the meeting point of all the 3 medians. Now let's look at angle bisector and in center. So in a triangle, internal bisector of an angle bisects the opposite side in the ratio of the other 2 sides. So let's look at this triangle. So AD is an angle bisector. So this angle and this angle, they are same. So AD is an angle bisector. So AD will divide the opposite side BC. So if BC is the opposite side, then AD will divide BC in the same ratio as that of the sides containing this angle. So in this case, it means the ratio of BD and CD will be same as the ratio of AB and AC. This is known as angle bisector theorem. This is known as angle bisector theorem. Okay. Now, this is just one angle bisector. If I draw all the three angle bisectors, they will all meet at a common point which is known as incenter. Okay. They will all meet at a point which is known as incenter. From the incenter, if you drop a perpendicular on any one side, so suppose this is the dotted line. If you take this as center and this line as radius and draw a circle, you will get a circle which will touch all the sides internally. This circle is known as incircle, and the radius of this circle is known as inradius. This circle is known as incircle, it touches all the sides, and its radius is known as inradius. So incenter is the meeting point of all the angle bisectors. We'll get an incircle, and the radius of that circle is inradius. Incenter is equidistant from all the three sides. So all this dotted line is nothing but radius of that circle, and they are the radii of the same circle, so that must be equal. So we can say incenter is equidistant from all the three sides. So here are a few relationship between the angles. So angle BIC, which is this angle, will be 90 degree plus angle A by 2. So this angle will be 90 plus angle A by 2. Similarly, angle CIA will be 90 plus angle B by 2, and angle AIB will be 90 plus angle C by 2. Now what is the circumcenter? Circumcenter is the meeting point of all the perpendicular bisector of the sides. So as you can see in this figure, this point is the meeting point of all the perpendicular bisector of the sides. Now if you take this as center and any of the dotted lines as radius, and if you draw a circle, you will get a circle which will pass through all the three vertices. This circle is known as circumcircle, and its radius is known as circumradius. Okay. Circumcenter is equidistant from all the three vertices of the triangle. Fine. Circumcenter is equidistant from all the three vertices of the triangle. Then we have another geometric center which is known as orthocenter. Orthocenter is the meeting point of all the three altitudes in a triangle. So AD, BE and CF are altitude. So meeting point of altitudes, that is known as orthocenter. So this point is orthocenter. Here we do not get any circle. Okay. The relationship between angle is this. Angle BOC will be 180 minus angle A. Similarly, angle AOB will be 180 minus angle C, and similarly this angle will be 180 minus angle B. Fine. So these are the four geometric centers: centroid, incenter, circumcenter and orthocenter. Let's look at some special cases. In a right angle triangle, the length of the median drawn to the hypotenuse is equal to half of the hypotenuse. Okay. This median is also the circumradius of the right angle triangle. This median will also be equal to the circumradius of the right angle triangle. In an isosceles triangle, all these four geometric centers will lie on the same line, so they will be collinear. So they will lie on the median to the base, and all these four geometric centers will be collinear. In an equilateral triangle, all these four geometric centers will coincide. In an equilateral triangle, all these four geometric centers will coincide. And in that case, circumradius will be a by root 3 and inradius will be a by 2 root 3, where a is the length of the side. Okay, circumradius will be a by root 3 and inradius will be a by 2 root 3. A is the length of the side. Since all the radii of the circumcircle and the incircle of an equilateral triangle will be in the ratio 2:1. So circumradius to inradius ratio will be 2:1, and therefore the area of the circumcircle to that of incircle will be in the ratio 4:1. Okay. So these are the properties related to all the four geometric centers. So whatever we have discussed in this session, please remember all the theorems and properties, and we'll continue further in the second part of this session. Okay, thank you.